Nick Diaz, then, he is back as of 420. What a month, what a date for him to come back. The irony is not lost on me. Who are you excited to see him take on?
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't write it any better that he's legalized for MMA on 420. I think there's a few options. I mean, I would hope he's a natural welterweight, so I'm going to assume he's coming back at welterweight.
You would hope.
So my two fights, first of all, are at welterweight, and first of all, actually they are both rematches. The first one, ruthless Robbie Lawler.
No, the second fight between the two of them, that would be an absolute war. Real good stylistic matchup too. I can't see any downside to having that fight. Just double checking the rankings.
Well, Lawler's still right up there.
Yeah, he's still at 4. Tell me this then, the question is, does he come back and fight someone that high, or does the UFC give him someone first? What do you think?
I don't think he comes back and fights someone that high. I'm operating strictly on a fantasy, fantasy dream match sort of setup at the minute. I mean, the first one was, my goodness, how long ago was that? Robbie Lawler, 2004.
Yeah, I was going to say 2005 is the year I had in my mind there. So
14 years ago. Yeah, excited for that one.
I will counter that then if we're going to go into fantabulous like make-believe land. What about Jorge Masvidal?
Yeah, stylistically that'd be fun. I think my only thing with bringing Diaz back for these sort of fights is he's a bit like Brock and GSP and Conor in that, you know, he's not going to fight in the rankings. He's not going to make a run at a title. No. So to make the biggest fights possible with Nick, I mean, you need a big name, and I just don't think Masvidal has that carryover to the casual fans.
Yeah, you're probably right. Masvidal, though, I think if he had more appeal, the sort of two gangsters, you know, sort of the two of them would go to war, and you know, both very similar personality wise in a way. I think that
be a great stylistic matchup, that's for sure.
It's just a real shame, as you say, that we probably won't see that. Another name in welterweight that you think?
Yes, I actually think Carlos Condit.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that sticks to me. Any reason you think?
No, just that I remember at the time UFC 143 just there being a mass disputes that many people thought Nick Diaz won the decision. I personally thought Condit won the decision at the time.
Too.
Haven't watched it in years, but hey, why not? Let's run it back. Condit isn't going to be challenging or making a run to the title anytime soon.
No, similar age, you know, similar physical attributes. I guess the question would really, we'll know a lot more about whether or not we want to see that fight after this weekend when we see Condit fighting Cowboy Oliveira. We just talked about that, by the way, which is in the new podcast, which I'll put in the link down below. So please feel free to check it out and share it around. I could see either of those fights. The one I think that's actually no one's really mentioned that I've seen online that I think that makes sense because it's just outside the top 10, stylistically makes sense, and it's also against a welterweight that isn't necessarily the biggest welterweight. Cowboy Cerrone.
Ooh.
Cowboy Cerrone, Nick Diaz.
That'd be fun. Cowboy, of course, has fought Nate.
Yep.
In the past.
And got beaten pretty handily.
yes, he did.
Pretty handily, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun. My only concern with that is, like, have we seen it already with Nate? Do you think it would go any different with Nick?
No, I don't think we've seen them because Nick and Nate, despite being brothers, don't really fight like brothers. There are similarities between the two of them, but I mean, look, the one main difference I can think of is that Nick can knock people out.
Yeah.
Nate can throw enough strikes that he can TKO people.
Well, Nick overwhelms as well.
He does, but he has
slightly more.
He has more snap. He does, and I think that he is a better brawler than Nate. Nate, I think, is better in that the flow. Like, you look at what happened in McGregor Diaz as an example in the first fight. That's Nate Diaz 101. Tire someone out, overwhelm them, catch them with a punch, take them to the ground, grind out and let the rest happen with the jiu-jitsu. Is where Nate Diaz has a much more game gangster in your face, and that is with the grappling as well.
Yeah.
He's less likely, I think, to take your back and more likely to just clinch you and dirty box you, and I think that yes, they are similar, so I know what you mean. Have we seen it before? But I think that it's kind of like they fight similar enough that there's a similarity, but they fight different enough that I absolutely want to see that fight.
Yeah,
absolutely. We've had a couple of our listeners tweet in. Brent Dolan, who tweets us all the time, man. Thanks again. He says he wouldn't mind seeing him against Colby Covington, Ruthless Robbie Lawler, or Kevin Gastelum. Now, when we were texting, I had mentioned Kevin Gastelum to you.
Yeah.
I never thought the fight would happen, but the reason I like it is because what a boxing match, like in terms of striking.
Yeah, I'd be super hesitant to throw Diaz in with a killer like Gastelum at the minute, like a guy who's really on the up and at the top of the division. No real, well, I suppose it's a big name. I was about to say there's no real upside for Gastelum to take it, but I mean it's a Diaz and that carries a lot of weight in MMA.
Well, for Gastelum, who has openly complained a couple of occasions, about being sort of overlooked for some fights, I think that a win over Diaz would actually weirdly help his case, even though, as you say, he wouldn't be fighting someone for rank. Yeah. But beating Diaz adds for some reason, and I don't know if that is me buying into the mystique, but it does. I believe Gastelum more if he beats Diaz for some reason. I think that does help his case that he deserves to be in, fighting someone in the top 5 or, potentially in with a title shot. I think it does help his case, even though he's outside the rankings in a weird way. But that could be nothing more than just the name and the mystique of Nick Diaz.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the facts with Nick Diaz are that the guy's fought 3 times in 6 years, lost 2. Well, he lost all of those fights. Of course, the Anderson fight being overturned, but before that he lost a decision. But he's managed to hold on to this, like you're saying, this mystique. That's partly to do with his personality as well as his fighting ability. Like obviously he's an excellent fighter, but I don't know if you could throw him in with that straight off the bat. So.
Perhaps not. One of the other fighters we got put forward is from MMA Nonsense. You can follow both the guys you mentioned. You can follow Brent Dolan. That's at Brent_Dolan, DOLAN, and MMA Nonsense is at MMA Nonsense. MMA Nonsense tweeted at us and said Michael Bisping.
Yeah, I think
middleweight. Get him back in means Nick doesn't have to cut weight, or as much.
Yeah, that's the fight to make. I think
so.
Bisping's last fight,
money fight too,
big name, big money. Do it in England. Can't see a downside. Diaz doesn't have the scary one punch power, which you wouldn't want to see. Bisping face in his last fight. You don't want to see anybody absolutely annihilated going out.
No.
I honestly, and can you imagine the trash talk leading up? I mean, the two personality clashing in the build up would be excellent. So
yeah, they would. For me, my only concern with that is that, I mean, Bisping is a big middleweight.
That is true.
He's a big boy, like.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the thing. We haven't seen Nick Diaz in that long.
He could be a natural middleweight at this stage. Yeah,
so
yeah, that's true.
Just before we go, now I have a suggestion. We spoke about this before. Now this isn't his first fight back, but bear with me.
Okay.
I might set the scene. So later this year or early next year, Nate Diaz, Conor 3. Conor ekes by or wins. He would be favoured in that rematch, and then out of the crowd comes the big brother to defend Nate's honour,
smoking a big split, a big Rasta job.
Yeah, which sets up Conor versus the big brother, the big Diaz, to avenge Nate.
And would you call the event Big Brother? You would have to get the guy, in the Big Brother host.
Yes.
Like you have to get that guy to narrate it. Yeah. That's a fight. I mean, if you're talking wolf tickets, that's the fight.
I'm talking about the shit talking between Bisping and Nick.
Oh, imagine Conor and Nick.
And you have Nick standing beside Nate. You have them all.
Yeah, you have the two of them just get the 209, and then the thing as well is you just know for a fact that Nick and Nate would jump all over the SBG bandwagon thing, over this the New York incident there.
Yes.
You just know that they would, like, I mean, look at the closest thing we saw to that before from Conor was with the Diaz brothers.
Absolutely.
So, like,
monster
we
cans.
know that they can get at him. They can get him riled up like that. They can get under his skin. And it's one of the only times that Conor lost the press conference.
Yeah.
It's one of the only times that's happened.
Yeah.
Maybe not lost. It's the only time he's been equaled.
Yeah, been
Because it
rattled
was
a bit.
quite clear that the shit talking wasn't working for Conor the way it was hoping to. I don't think that Diaz's return talk was doing Conor any harm as such, but I just think that the fact he couldn't get a rise.
No, and the thing is, Nick's even grumpier and nastier than Nate, so he's not going to buy it at all.
No. And right, okay, so hypothetically, Wolf tickets are on sale, right?
Yep.
Dream of all dreams, do you think it's Conor? It has to be for Nick, like down the line.
Yeah, in a dream fantasy world, that Nick Conor is just printing money. In a realistic world, I'll settle, and I'm more than happy with Bisping's retirement fight.
Do you think that, right? Okay, so let's I will put forward one more Wolf ticket concept that I've seen someone tweet about, and it only makes sense because of when Nick Diaz was first around, right? Diaz GSP. Now, for me, I don't necessarily want to watch. I would, of course, watch, and I'm sure it would be a great fight. I think GSP takes that far too handily, but I understand the desire for it. So,
Do you understand the desire for it? I don't understand.
I understand why a lot of people are saying that would be a good fight, because it answers what you highlighted about the Condit fight. It's look back at when GSP and Nick Diaz and Condit, look back at when all these fights were talked about, and it's almost like by giving GSP Diaz a chance, it's almost allowing you to see the fight that you maybe should have seen 5, 6, 7 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. I don't want it because I think there are other better fights out there, but what I'm saying is I can see why some people will be interested in it from a historical standpoint. But hypothetically, let's say the fights we have on offer are Bisping, Conor and GSP. Who wins between those three fights? So if he's fighting each of those three, what are you calling? I think if we start with,
I think GSP handily.
yes. Takes it easily.
Conor up in the air.
I think Conor takes it. I think Conor's too polished.
Yeah, I think it's similar to the Nate fight. I would swing 60-40 to Conor, but wouldn't be shocked if Nick outlasted him. And Bisping, I think Bisping's too big for him.
I
think all these fights are fun. Nick Diaz's initial UFC run, it's not to say it wasn't about winning is wrong, because obviously it was, it was title fights and legacy, but like I think Nick Diaz's place in MMA folklore is fairly secure. I don't think he needs a title. I don't think he needs to beat these big names. He's been in there with them. He's a legend. He's a legend among fans. He's a legend for his personality. Let's just have some fun while Nick's still
Nick's still Nick. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a perfect fight for Bisping to close his career out. I think Bisping would take it. Yeah, he's normally too big. Like Bisping's probably the only person in the UFC that I would say has better cardio than the Diaz brothers.
He's definitely up there.
It's
hard to say who's better.
Yeah,
but
I mean, there's no scientific exact measurement, but off what I have seen, Bisping has
goes hard.
Some of the best cardio in the UFC.
Bisping goes hard for 5 rounds.
Yeah, and sometimes it escalates.
Well, yeah, those are all our suggestions. If you agree with them, let us know. If you disagree with them, if we've missed anybody, with the hypothetical fights, how do you see them going? Let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, you can check us out on Twitter, and that's at the MMA Weigh-Ins. We'll put links down to the website, our Twitter, down below. And of course, feel free to like and subscribe and share the video. So thanks very much, guys, and peace.
Thanks. Bye.